does it mean to design in the face of existential risk? Of course, we were looking at the Future of Humanity Institute. We were looking at Bostrom's work at the time, Robin Hansen's work. Robin was one of the participants in that lecture series. And for me, that created a kind of catalyst moment where I looked back to the science fiction that I had loved so much when I was a kid. And I realized that there was a very strong trajectory in the very best science fiction. You know, Ursula Le Guin, Ballard, people like that who had really impacted me tremendously as a child to thinking design at a planetary scale. Because obviously the best science fiction writers have been doing that for decades, and in some cases for a full century. And so that led to the Post Planetary Design Seminar, which I taught for about 7 years at the New School. And in that seminar, we basically asked a range of the questions that we'll be asking in this studio here. How can we think through the scenarios that Cixin Liu gives us, Ursula Le Guin gives us, filmmakers, musicians, artists, scientists, beyond the limits of the human? How do we think beyond the limits of gender? We have never been two. We have never been human. We've never been modern. Yes, we have never been human. So how do we cultivate that ability to think at all scales? We could ask a series of questions here that could guide us during the project. So obviously we won't unpack all of these right now, but to mention them just up front here a little bit, what would be natural or artificial intelligence at different scales? What would be life at each scale? What aspect, part, or whole of the human and the inhuman thinks at each scale? What thinks at a millisecond, a microsecond, a second, an hour, a year? So what's the world here? Is it the world of the ant, the world of the spider, the world of the monument, the world of the humans? At the foot of the formation, the spider that Logis had swept aside with the flowers was beginning to reconstruct its web. It drew a glistening strand from the rock face and swung itself like a pendulum to the ground. 3 more swings and the skeleton of the web was complete. 10,000 times the web could be destroyed, and 10,000 times the spider would rebuild it. There was neither annoyance nor despair nor any delight, just as it had been for 1 billion years. And Phocion is talking about Baroque forms, human Baroque forms, ornamentation, art, design. They proliferate like some vegetable monstrosity. They break apart even as they grow. They tend to invade space in every direction, to perforate it, to become one with all its possibilities. So where's the end of the living system? Is Phocion just using it metaphorically? No. It's a model. It's not a metaphor. How can we extend this to the life world of objects, of systems, of economies, organisms, and ecosystems thus intertwined? So perhaps in the simplest sense, we'd look at the feedback loops that are present between nature and artifice, highlight their interdependence, if not their inseparability. This image, which I've used dozens of times now, by Chris Jordan, looking at an albatross or a seagull that has died because it ate the plastic, even ate a Bic lighter. And we head straight for George Bataille's dream, for George Bataille's nightmare. Someone, was it Tony Negri or was it Frederick Jameson, said that at a certain point, George Bataille's disregard for the human renders his thought useless to us. But I disagree. Among other obsessions, Bataille was attempting to think a general economy, and I would extend that to a general ecology, yes? And that, it's clear, is what we need. We need a truly open model of a general economy and ecology for the planetary, the extraplanetary, which assists us in recognizing our current state, situating ourselves across scales. It gives us a model of expenditure which smoothly integrates across all models of economy, monetary, political, cultural, energetic, material, all together. For now, for us today, thinking the planetary and the post-planetary as designers, in our near future, getting through the Cambrian explosion of mind and technology that Werner Vinge forecasts will take place in the next 40 years, or maybe we're already 10 years or 20 years through it. This will require us to acknowledge and recognize all of these embedded systems, to recognize and acknowledge all these very weird, beautiful parts. So we must remember the vast anabasis that lies behind us and that lies ahead of us to help us identify and escape the great filter.